right, sweet. Hello! Can everyone hear me all right? This thing is a mic, not a speaker. So is this like a loud enough volume for this room? Sweet. Cool, well, welcome. We are kind of super excited to welcome you to the London stop in Linear's Euro Tour. We're super thankful we could do this with our friends at Attio and Granola, and we're very thankful that those friends have an office we can use. This is obviously quite difficult to do as a remote company, so thank you, Granola, for the space. My name is Matt. I look after marketing at Linear. I'm also the bringer of t-shirts, so if you haven't got a t-shirt, there's a table at the back with some on. I think there's probably 2XLs and 3XLs left, so maybe you can frame it instead of wearing it because they're pretty big. So yeah, look, we're here today to show off some cool AI things and basically, offer you a shoulder to cry on as we debate the kind of future collapse of knowledge work as we know it. I kid, but funnily enough, I checked the live stream just before we went live. It's on YouTube, and the first video that's suggested on the right-hand side is a video from Bernie Sanders that literally says, AI is going to destroy knowledge work. So for those watching on the live stream, check it out and let us know how it is. Yeah, what we're going to tackle today, I joke about that, but at least at Linear, and I'm pretty sure it's true for Granola and Attio, is that we think humans are a pretty essential ingredient in doing things well. You still need a human to take a call, although there's a lot of YC companies that are trying to build call agents, but I'm curious if that will stick. If anyone in the room is building those, let me know. Humans build the kind of relationships that live in CRMs. And of course, we still think that human taste and intuition is needed to build really, really good products. And AI, like whatever form that takes, is really just an enabler to these things. It is kind of an amplifier to the human aspect that already exists. With Granola, you spend less time jotting notes and more time actually listening to the conversation you're having. With a well-organized CRM, you can be a bit more intentional about how you engage with people. And we think when you spend less time grooming backlogs and managing bugs, you spend more time doing the high-leverage product stuff and speaking with users you really care about. So today we're going to just jump into some pretty lightning demos. They're like 10 minutes each from some of the product teams at Linear, Attio, Granola. And then we'll do an equally lightning kind of 5-minute Q&A. So keep your questions short, but feel free to ask anything. And then after that, we'll basically give you some time to go network with your fellow humans. I think we're in this space until around 8, so we've got plenty of time. So each of the teams coming up, I guess, please introduce yourselves, introduce your products. There might be some folks in here that don't know what you do, and then dive straight into the demo. We'll do everything from this little lectern here. But yeah, let's dive straight in. Matish, you're up.
Cool. Hey, I'm Matthijs. I'm an engineer on the Linear team. And today I want to show off our Linear agent platform. So for those who don't know Linear, we are an issue tracker, but one that you'll like to use. And basically, our agent platform is our way of bringing agents, AI agents, into your issue tracker natively as if you're collaborating with anyone else on your team. And today I'm going to show off what that looks like, both inside of the Linear product, with one of our agent integrations from Cursor, as well as what it looks like to build one yourself that uses the Linear agent platform to make your agent available inside of Linear. So let's jump in. Let's take a tour of agents inside of a Linear workspace. I'm going to switch this to light mode real quick. Right, so let's add a new issue and assign this to an agent. Let's say we want to, oh, that's the wrong one. Let's say we want to implement FizzBuzz, which we all might have to do sometimes. And you'll see that basically we have an issue here and we want this to be implemented. We can simply assign it to an agent as the primary owner of this issue, because we believe that agents can't be held responsible for the final result just yet. Someone needs to drive it to the finish line. So instead, I am the primary assignee. I delegate it to Cursor, and Cursor will take care of implementing this. Assigning to Cursor has created this agent session, which is sort of like a common thread, but with additionally the agent connected to it. And you'll see that we have the progress state of the agent here. We can see live what the agent's doing. we can jump into the side panel where we can see, like you would see in like the cursor editor, what the agent's currently working on and kind of what it's doing to get to a final result. And if you jump into a finished issue where it's done its work, you'll see it usually finishes up by posting a comment telling you kind of what its end result is. It'll link to a pull request, which you can just jump into right inside of Linear as well. And we can jump into the activity panel again and see what did it do to implement. It read a couple of files, it listed a directory, like all of the stuff an agent does, we can kind of stream into Linear as you would with an editor where the agent's working alongside you. So let's say you wanted to implement an agent like this yourself. It's pretty simple. The first step towards building an agent is to create an integration. And you can do this just like any other OAuth app inside of Linear. You would create one, you would make sure to turn on the agent session events for webhooks so that you can like listen in on agent sessions being started and doing their thing. And when you're requesting scopes and authorizing the app, you need to make sure that you make request assignability and mentionability for the app so that it turns up as an agent inside of the product. And we're going to build a little agent called Codec. It's going to be able to do code search over a GitHub workspace. And let's give that a try and see what it does now that we have the app. So I can create another issue. Let's say upgrade to React 19. And I could assign it to the agent, but this time, because it's more question-oriented, let's actually just mention it in a comment and ask it a question. And that's going to start an agent session again. Let's say, are we using React 18 anywhere? And the agent session this time will include your initial comment, so you can kind of give it some extra guidance or ask it some questions, make it do some research for you. Except because we haven't implemented the agent yet, it's going to time out. We have created a set of agent interaction guidelines. You can find them in our developer website that set out some principles for what a good agent looks like inside of the Linear platform. There's some principles here like it should always announce that it's an agent, it should feel like something native as part of the platform, but also one that says an agent should provide instant feedback. And because we haven't implemented it yet, there's no feedback and it will have timed out after about 10 seconds. So let's make that work. Let's make sure that when we start an agent session, as the very first thing we do, acknowledge that this session has been started. We're gonna jump into Cursor. I have just a little demo code base. It has a little HTTP server with a webhook handler. We have an SDK that includes, among other things, a webhook extraction that lets you just listen in on certain types of events. We're gonna listen to agent session events, and we're going to handle them in some kind of way, but this is just stubbed out for now. We also have a prompt that tells it it's Codec, it's a code search agent, it has tools to search code, to read stuff from GitHub, and those tools are just using the Vercel AI SDK to do their thing, run the agent, and produce an end result. So let's, as a first thing, make sure we acknowledge the agent session. And we'll fire that off. And what it's basically going to do here in the handler is it's going to interact with the agent session in some kind of way. And that can be either sending an initial activity, like something the agent's doing on your behalf already, if it's quick enough. Or in this case, what we're going to do is set the external URL of the agent session so that you can dive into our product or like the demo agent from within Linear, which also counts as acknowledging the session. So now if we start the agent and go back into Linear, and we ask it the same question again, this time around, instead of timing out, it's going to acknowledge that it's working and set the external URL. And we can dive into this little demo UI and see that nothing's happening yet. So now let's actually make it do something. Let's run the prompt with what you provide as the input in this, this comment thread and make sure it provides a response to this. So let's accept these changes. And then let's say run the prompt on session start. And what that's going to do is kick off this little wrapper I built for the Vercel AI SDK with some context built out of the agent session, which will include the issue, it'll include the title, description, the comment, and all of that stuff, as well as when it's done, update the agent session with the response and make sure that that shows up in linear. This is taking a little while. Yeah, there we go. So we're just formatting the issue as XML with some comments, and we'll create the agent activity with a response type, meaning that this is the final response to what the agent has been asked to do. And now if we keep all of this and we go back into linear again, I should have started Slack, then we'll fire off another question. Let's actually do a simpler one because it'll take less time. Let's ask it, who are you? And this time, instead of just running indefinitely or timing out at some point, it's going to come up with an answer within about a couple of seconds, telling it that it's codec, a repo-aware assistant, and it can do what we told it can do. So this kind of shows most of the flow already, like it's doing what an agent can do, but it's not really streaming any activity into linear yet. So if you open up this side panel, we don't really see anything that it did. And of course, this question, it probably also didn't do a lot. But if we're actually doing code search, then it would like reach out to GitHub, read some files, do some thinking. So let's make sure that all of that also shows up inside of linear. So this time around, we're going to ask it, let's stream tool calls and thoughts. And what that's going to do is listen in on this agent, and on every step that it takes, do something like create a new activity inside of the agent session that corresponds to what the agent has been doing. And for a thought step, we have like a thought activity that's kind of like a thinking like panel that you would see in Cursor. Or for tool calls, we have action activities that mean it's doing something on your behalf. So reading a file with the file name as like a parameter and maybe the response if it's available, which means that basically everything the agent's doing should now be visible inside of linear, and we don't really have to do anything with the agent UI outside of linear anymore. So now we can ask our initial question to it again. And this time around, what it's going to do is start the session and start streaming these activities into the panel. So you're going to see it do some thinking, do some searching through GitHub, and it should eventually then formulate an answer to our question based on the tools that it has available. So you can see it's pretty easy to integrate with the linear agent platform. If you have any sort of like standard tooling, if you use the Vercel AI SDK, it's really straightforward to map that into something that linear can understand. We have a bunch of really great integrations already from partners like Cursor, Sentry, CodeGen, that all kind of work like this and help you work with agents inside of linear. And we hope to see many more appear. So yeah, feel free to build an agent, and we'd love to see more of them on the platform soon.
We'll do like 5 minutes of Q&A. For a question, raise your hand, repeat it so that people on live stream can hear it, and we'll time it.
Where do they get excited? Where do they get value?
Right. So the question was, where do you see the most traction with this? What do the customers get the most excited about? And I think that certainly right now, coding agents tend to be like the main use case that we see a lot of, but we're also seeing more and more unique use cases show up that are like more research oriented, like something like Sentry, where like if an issue comes in, like try to figure out what made it happen or like what's the root cause. I think that like coding agents are like the most explored agent generally. So correspondingly, there's just the most products out there that do something like this and map easily to linear. But I think there are a lot of other workflows, especially for other roles that would play a role like inside of linear that could also adopt similar things, especially when like asking a question or doing something that maybe not resolves every issue, but at least like brings data into linear on demand without you having to look as much data up. So yeah, I think like any agent could fit into linear if your team uses linear, but coding agents are like the most explored use case right now.
What were big questions or decisions you made when basically deciding on this workflow?
Right, so the question is, what were some big decisions that you made while deciding on this workflow? I would say like most of it's kind of what has been outlined in our agent interaction guidelines. Like the decisions we need to make are much more on the front of user experience and like making it feel natural to work with an agent inside of linear. And like we have opinions on like everything in linear, so correspondingly with agents, like there's plenty of stuff that we thought that they should do, and through experimentation kind of figure out works for us and hopefully works for others as well. It's a moving target, right? Like agents can do more and more every day, and we want to make agents capable of doing more inside of linear as well. But like the basic principle of being able to work with an agent and like really follow along with what it's doing and kind of like be able to supervise it without jumping through too many hoops is, I think, like the grounding like principle behind all of this.
So now that you've effectively brought the agent into the linear app, what do you see the role, like from a product perspective, the role of the linear MCP? So if I have the linear MCP set up in my quote code to like pick up tickets and like create new tickets and address tickets and stuff like that, does that still make sense even if we brought the agent into linear now?
Right. So the question is like, what do we see as the role of the linear NCP now that we've basically brought agents inside of the linear experience already? I think like they serve different purposes in that most of what you would do with a linear agent tends to be the kind of stuff that's very hands off, or where you can fully delegate the first pass to an agent and trust that it gets to a point where at least you can take over, if not just merge the PR or like use the output finally. The NCP is like much more oriented for like chat kind of use cases, or where like you are the driver of the session, where you are interacting with something that on your behalf can interact with linear. There's like a lot of things that make sense in that context that the linear agent platform, like you can do it through the SDK, but it's much more like self managed. Like I don't know, like creating issues or interacting with projects and all of that stuff, which the MCP like leaves open-ended and makes available as tools, as building blocks for your chat interface, for ChatGPT or whatever you're using it with, to do on your behalf instead. So like the one is very much like a way of dispatching work, and the other much more a way of like pulling in data and working with your data in a way that works for you very flexibly.
One more question. Good time. Anyone else? All right, sweet. Lovely. Lovely. Thank you, Matheus.
Great for that. We built a CRM, a simple, extensible, developer-friendly CRM. And today I'd like to show you two things. The first is our integration with Linear, and the second is how you can build an app using our new app platform. So I'll dive right in. This is the Attio interface, and you can go and browse our app store here. And what I've done in this workspace already is I've gone in and installed the Linear app. So if I go back out and into this company called The Swarm, I can then trigger apps from this menu. So I've got the Linear app here, and I can log a customer request. And Linear has this great feature where you can basically record things that customers have said or customer feedback that they have against a customer for later looking at when you want to create tasks. So I can go in and say, hey, some feedback about the foo widget, and log it against the Swarm. I'm just going to add it to a project. Here we go. Log that request. Oh. Let's try it again. And that's gone and created a customer request in Linear. So how did we build this? How did we make it possible for people to add these kinds of applications to Attio? Well, why don't I show you how this is all built? So I'm going to actually go in and try and build an app in real time. So wish me luck. And what I've done is I've created an app, and I'm just going to get started with our app SDK. That's what lets you build experiences like the one you saw with Linear. I'm just going to initialize my app's code. Install my dependencies. Give that a second and start the project. So it's us asking me which workspace I want to install this app into. So I'm going to choose the one we were just looking at. Great, so that's uploaded. And now if I hit I can see that I've got a LinkedIn demo app ready to install. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. And let's take a look at the code. So it's created a project with a bunch of stuff in it. I've got an action, I've got a dialogue, I've got something called Stoic Quote. What does this all mean? Let's have a look. So if I go back out into companies, back to the Swarm, and look at this menu, I've now got a LinkedIn demo app. And if I click this, I get this dialogue, which has rendered a quote. So I can go in to my code here, and I can actually change this. So let's go here. And I'm going to go and write a React component called description list. It's marked as experimental. Don't worry about that. And if I go back and click on this LinkedIn demo again, you can see that it's now got the component reflected in the UI. So what we've actually built is a way for third-party developers to write code that is run in a sandbox in our system that then pipes the UI into our React tree. So you get like the ability to have like a developer platform that extends our interface in a very native feeling way that you don't typically get with most developer platforms. So what can I do with this? I can actually do quite a lot. Like, let me go in and like play with this action. So you can see here it's showing a dialogue, and it's rendering the hello world dialogue we looked at earlier. Well, what if I want to change this to actually do something with LinkedIn? How about we try and read a person's LinkedIn URL and open that in a new browser tab? So what I'm going to do is well. Just create a GraphQL query. And fetch their LinkedIn. And I can go in and import this query. Mm. And then I can check if it's present. Let's see if that type error causes a problem, but this should work. So I'm going to go to a person and not a function. Oh, I need to run this query. Let's see if that works. Why is that not working? Is that what you mean? Well, luckily, I came prepared. So this was working earlier, and this is the code that you run. And let's just take a look and see if this actually works when I try and run it from. There we go. And you can open the link, and it takes you to the person's LinkedIn URL. So yeah, that's the Attio App SDK and App Platform, and what's the kind of stuff you can build with it. Yeah, happy to take questions. Yep.
I'm just interested because you've just done like the feature request or like bug to linear. Like, have you seen anyone implement voice of customer really well between like Attio and linear, and like just like have they got it humming, like working well and reviewing it? And
yeah, we've got a lot of customers using our linear integration, and they're using it to. You can basically take calls inside of Attio, and then from a call transcript, you can then send data to linear and tag it against a customer. So that's like a really nice workflow where you can sort of start to aggregate a lot of customer feedback in a really structured way, which you can then act on in your like planning sessions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, continuation from there. Do you then let's say you have an account manager or onboarding manager, do they then get alerted when it's something?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of your question.
So when you send a request to linear,
Yeah.
is it the status of the ticket will change when it's done, or when the feature request has been done? And let's say there's an account manager, they don't use linear.
Yeah.
Do they then get alerted when the status has changed in linear via Attio?
Not at this point in time. So just it's like a one way you can write stuff at this point in time. But yeah, we'd love to do stuff like that in the future. Yeah. Yeah. So the question was, is there like a two-way sort of feedback system? So if we send data to linear, when something's completed in linear, does it feed back to Attio? And my response was, it's just one way for now. Yep.
What's the audience for building these custom
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question was, what's the audience for Attio apps? And it's actually quite a broad range of people. So we've got, sort of third-party partners who are building apps into the product to extend the functionality of Attio. We've got indie devs who are like hacking on ways to improve the Attio product. Like they might see something missing and they might want to fix it. And then we've got just like customers themselves building apps. So like if you adopt Attio and you now have a workflow that you want to achieve internally, you might write an app to like sort of extend what the platform does so you can achieve it more quickly.
What are some of the coolest examples of people building this kind of stuff to achieve what they can do?
I mean, so examples, the question was, what are some examples of cool things people are building? There was one the other day, someone built around Stripe invoicing, which was pretty cool. So basically like a way to generate Stripe invoices from Attio data, like in a couple of clicks without leaving the platform. So it's stuff like that.
Why did you build this app SDK instead of building integrations directly?
So the question was, why did we build an apps SDK instead of building integrations? I mean, there are lots of reasons. Like you could sit there and kind of plug away at building out like a huge catalog of apps yourself, but there are so many companies that integrate with CRMs. Like there's so many developers who build things for CRMs. You really have to think about it more as how are we going to enable an entire ecosystem versus how are we going to build like top 50 apps, for example, really quickly.
You mentioned that there are also like third-party developers for creating apps. Do you guys have like some sort of monetization system to be able to monetize those integrations, for clients who are using Attio, or like any plans regarding that?
Yeah, so the question was, do we have any monetization systems for third-party developers? And at this point in time, we don't. There's nothing stopping you from building an app that you have some sort of billing system that lets you charge customers, and it works with Attio as well. So that's what we generally recommend to start with at this point in time.
If like someone builds an app and then they don't touch it for like years, you've got to, I guess, you don't want those old apps to break.
Yeah.
How much thought did you put into that like maintenance button of like old?
Yeah.
That like API surface, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the question was like, how do we handle not breaking really, the platform when there are really old apps with? Yeah, so we spend a lot of time on API design, and everything's sort of. I mean, there's a lot of things we're doing. So one is we have like an experimental track for all new features where we spend a bunch of time in that state just to like work out like any things that might change quickly that we don't feel like we're ready to commit to. And then for the things that do land as stable, we basically guarantee at this point in time that they will always be maintained in the future. At some point, when you're building these kinds of systems, you need to have like robust versioning systems as well. So you can have apps that like talk to different versions of the API. And that's something we plan on doing as part of this.
One more question.
Yep.
So I guess this kind of goes to both platforms where you've got these integrations with these third parties and the data that's in both these applications is huge. So for instance, you look at the post-mortems of JLR, the way they found information on Jira. You've got this information in both platforms, which is so integral to the security of your system and your IP or contact book, which is a major part of being a company. So what checks do you do to make sure that you can trust these third-party apps and they're not going to use their app as a way to harvest your data from Xero?
That's a great question. So the question was like, how do you ensure that third-party apps aren't stealing your data? And we actually have a pretty robust review process where we review the code of the app. We have a relationship with the developer. So that's what we use to make sure that there isn't something nefarious going on. Yep.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Hey everybody, I got called in last minute, so it won't be as interactive as some of the other guys', but I think we'll have some fun. Just out of curiosity, how many people here have used Granola? Okay, great. So good few people, a few hands not raised, and we'll get you by the end. We'll get you on Granola. So what Granola is an AI note-taking app that transcribes your meetings, and then it summarizes your meetings, takes easy notes that you can query afterwards. So I was just transcribing our last speaker, so if I stop that and generate the notes, it'll analyze the transcript here. Hackio is kind of, I don't know if that's, we might need to work on that one. But it did get my suggested folder right, so I will add that to the Linear X Attio demos. And if I say, what did I miss? I was really nervous and didn't listen to the speaker. Okay. So you can see here, I'm getting some points. Pretty good. Okay, we know Attio CRM overview, so maybe Hackio wasn't quite right, but we're getting it here. And yeah, and this is great. So whenever you're having any meetings, you need to find out like quickly what the action items were, what you missed, or what you need to do in the week. This is great in our AI chat. So then you can go back out and look at all your meetings listed here, and then also query your meetings across all the meetings you've been having, or go into different folders. So if I jump into a folder, I can do the same thing and say, tell me what was in these meetings. So we still got Hackio developer demo, and then we got some sales channels weekly summary for Grown, which I'm not sure what that one was, but that was meant to be the first summary. So, so yeah, this is kind of the UI we had at the moment last week. If anyone used Granola before last week, this was kind of the main way you'd interact. You jump into Ask Granola. And while this was useful as kind of V1 of what we had, almost everybody was saying this looks like an intercom help button. So you'd go in and ask, how can we resolve some kind of CX issue or something like that? So we knew we needed a redesign. So after last week, we recently launched, if I jump into these feature flags and do big one release. Yeah, big one release, final 2. And you can see we have this flashy new Granola chat. So in the middle now, where it's a lot more prominent. Thank you, yeah. I didn't design it, but I'll take the credit for it. So, which is great. And then this also came in with the same time. We also added recipes to Granola. So those you might see them in some other apps as well, but we spent a lot of time crafting them to be especially good for Granola. And recipes are kind of pre-packaged prompts. So we had suggested kind of actions before, but now we've made them a little bit better, a little bit more fine-tuned. So we have, if I jump into the recipes menu, you can see we even collaborated with a couple of big names in the industry. We have Coach Me Matt. Matt Mockery is a kind of big CEO coacher. He coached Sam Altman, a lot of other high-profile names. Then we have a couple of different celebrities for different areas. Like Lenny Rachitsky is a big product guy, so we have a right product requirements document for him. And then we have different ways you can interact with them. So we have some recipes which are better for across your meetings. So like, for example, in a folder where you have a group of meetings during a meeting. So if you're doing a meeting live, like what did I miss? How can I sound smart and ask a good question? If anyone here was granoling, that would have been a good one to do earlier. And then for after meetings, a couple of different things. So what can I follow up with? How can I create a help doc, etc. So I'll throw one out here now and see what happens. I'm going to do the Coach Me Matt, which is might be revealing my weaknesses, but I'm not a CEO yet, so that might be okay. Yeah, look, we're getting there. Excellent. Okay, rather than zone of genius. Okay, not great, not there yet. Okay, stop being the implementer. Well, I'm an engineer here, so that's kind of okay for now, but were it that I was a CEO, maybe this would be some good advice, I don't think I should be implementing. So yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff you can do. What might be fun is if I show you how you can make a recipe. So I'm going to jump into the recipe creation. So we might do a Jeopardy, if anyone knows the game show Jeopardy, where you kind of categorize different meeting questions, and then you can and then you get kind of a number associated with them, a cash amount. So we might get some audience interaction going here if people have been listening to the last two demos. We're going to find out. So I'm going to go in here and say Alex Trebek is one of the game show hosts for Jeopardy. So I'm going to throw this in as my prompt, go across multiple meetings. I can even preview that so I can see what that might look like with some of my last meetings. Okay, that looks like it's kind of the right thing. So I'm going to save that one. Another nice animation. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to go into my Linear X Attio demos, and we're going to try this one out. And actually, I'll do this as in the chat here. Okay, who wants to have a go? Is anyone feeling confident? No one was listening to the last demos, or you're just so in awe of recipes you don't even want to? Maybe a Granola here might assist me. Sam, is that you in the back? Yay! Oh, brilliant. And that's okay. So what are you going to take? We have Attio CRM platform, Granola AI features, technical architecture, sales and strategy, developer ecosystem, and meeting workflows.
I feel like it's probably safer if I go with Granola AI features.
We're going to do it. We're going to do Granola AI features for 200. So let's try. All right, do you feel more confident? Am I putting you down? 200, 400, 600?
600.
Oh, wow. Okay, Sam. There we go. Ooh, this is okay. Well, so this two-stage AI system first creates individual meeting summaries, then consolidates multiple summaries into this type of weekly digest that can compress 50 enterprise meetings into actionable insights. What could that be? Any ideas?
I want to say folders.
We're going to give it a go. What is folders? Is the correct format to say it. Oh, that's a meeting rundown, Sam. So. Okay, we're going to try one more. We're going to try one more for 200. Let's give you one last go. So let's try one for 200. Yeah, okay. Last one, Granola AI features for 200. So yeah, this AI note-taking app provides meeting transcription, summarization, and creates searchable records that you can query for information from past discussions. What could this be?
What is Fathom? I mean Granola.
Oh, okay. Nods approving it. Hey, give it up for Sam, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, this is a kind of an example of something you can do. Obviously, you can also get proper insights. If I want to go into the marketing team and see what they're up to for the week, this is really handy for quickly kind of getting an overall summary of what's going on there, so you don't lose as much context when you're just working on your own thing. If I'm doing engineering tasks, but I want to kind of know what's going on in the marketing for the feature, to find out a better name than the big one for our releases, I can see what's happening. So yeah, last thing I'll try is another fun one. We'll do I think we had choose your own noir no venture. So that's kind of fun as well. The Granola case. So who killed the big launch before it could go to light up the city? And then you can follow that. So this is just kind of some fun features, and we'd love to see if anyone else has any fun recipes that they've created. If you post them online, and we might give you a reshare. So I'm going to say, solve and just guess who it might be. Is it Ross? Ross was just a viewer. Okay, the workspace migration. Oh, that's a project we're working on. That's it is killing the big one launch. So that's accurate enough. But yeah, I think that's it for me. But I'll happy to take any questions.
What has been the best attraction of the new, like you have the pills on top of the text? Has that gotten traction more? The new recipes, like where do you see customers are finding going and doing the most?
Yeah, so I mean, I think honestly one of the largest parts is just having the AI chat like central in the application itself has made just a huge difference in terms of discoverability of the AI features in general. A lot of people just use Granola for creating their meeting summaries and kind of keeping track of their meetings that way. So I think we're just getting a lot more people interacting with the chat in general. Recipes as well. We get most of the traction through the suggested recipes. So like these are some recent ones, but we also have some logic to suggest them at good times as well. So like if, for example, I showed you the live meetings, the cross meetings and things like that. So like during a meeting, if I were to start one here, what did I miss? It would be like an easy example of one that people are using all the time when you kind of nod off during a meeting or anything like that. So we're getting a lot more traction on those. And yeah, certainly just a lot more discoverable, and people are using the AI chat more during a meeting, because I guess I have it open fully right now, but like realistically, people are going to have it open like this so they can actually see what's going on if they're in an online meeting. So before having it wasn't super discoverable at all when it's like this, but now we're just getting a lot more people trying it out for like this, for example. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, have you seen like different models giving you like better insights or different answers?
Yeah, for sure. So like one of the examples, like so here we can actually change the model as well. So right now we have it on auto. So for certain kind of points in conversations, like if we're doing during live meetings, we found some models perform a little bit better than others. Also, a lot of that is just down to prompt engineering on our side. So we'll kind of do some qualitative checks and then figure out what works best in most situations. But we also leave it up to people if they want something that's a bit faster. For example, like Gemini 2.5 Pro is generally going to be a bit faster as a thinking model than Sonnet 4.5 thinking. But we'll also auto assign that. So yeah, kind of both ways. Yeah.
Do you eat all the cost for the models if I use them 4.5?
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, you could definitely do that. You could like skip using them and just use it all in here, and if that's what you mean. Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, cancel the subscriptions. Sign up here, or even just you can use this for free at the moment as well. So I mean, get in there and yeah. That's the big one, huh? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
The prompt engineering side and the recipe side,
Mm.
and letting everyone choose their own models. How do you do like testing your prompts and all of your prompt work?
Yeah, so that's a good question because it's kind of a hard one, just because it's a lot of our stuff is so generalized. Like it's hard to kind of have a perfect data set that we want for the exact output for all these different kinds of meetings, because it's not one specific area that any of these meetings are happening in, or some people are even just using it for their own for just talking to themselves about the different tasks they're doing. So it's kind of a difficult one. We do a lot of qualitative checks. We have tried like LLM as a judge, tried to do some evals as well, but a lot of it still comes down to qualitative checks. And then even just outside of like the eval space, a lot of it is how people interact with the AI itself. Like, are people using the answers? Are they continuing to interact with it? Like, what's kind of the churn like of using the AI in that way is kind of really helpful. And how often do people go back to the notes? Are they using them? We kind of track all that kind of stuff as well, which is often more helpful than maybe just like a quantitative eval set that we could use. Yeah.
Does Granola AI take anything beyond being transcripts as context? So, for example, in the meeting, I might talk to someone and saying, "I'll sync up with you on Slack later." So, is there any like integrations to expand the context beyond?
So not yet. That's something we're hoping to do, and that's kind of been a lot of the push behind the AI chat as well. That's like the area that we really want to kind of get into as well. We do take in for example, your Google Calendar events, where we know what calendar events are coming up. We also do have the context on. We have the context on the people you're meeting. So like if you're a sales team, for example, you can have all the different companies you're meeting, and you can like query based on that company to know exactly where like you are in the sales pipeline, for example. And then we have some integrations built out with like we have an Attio integration, for example, we have HubSpot integration, but that's more less on the context side, more just connecting to them at the moment. But certainly in the future, that's something we're going to want to integrate more into the AI chat. Yeah.
Like a related, other than the transcript, do you store the recordings?
No, we don't store any recordings. It's just the transcript data itself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, earlier as well. So this is transcribing now. Actually, this is a separate meeting. Hello, Granola. Let's see. Well, yeah, it's a little bit slow, but and then if I were to go into AI chat and say, well, what did I miss? Won't be super useful here, but you can definitely do it real time as well with anything. So, I mean, that's where it's yeah. I need to watch what I think. I think I need to watch what I say before I say it sometimes. But you can definitely do that, and that's where recipes are really useful as well. I mean, if you know the kind of meetings you're having, and like if you're having meetings, if you're an engineer, for example, and you want to like provide context around the work you're doing, and maybe try and look at conversations you're having from a certain angle, if you want to like paste in certain like engineering principles or principles at the company or things you try to think about when you're making engineering decisions or sales decisions or whatever thing, you can put those in as recipes as well, and those are really useful for real-time meetings as well. Yeah.
This is really cool. So, like, if you record enough meetings with like mixes of people, can it learn from the context who's speaking and kind of detect their voice, so you know like who is the knowledge speaker?
Yeah, for sure. It's something we do internally a lot. I mean, I can go into my like team experience, for example. It would know. I don't know. I could do like maybe something funner, so I don't catch anyone out here. But like, what Harry Potter characters would each of the team be? But it does kind of generally have a good idea across the meetings of like who's contributing in what sense, because people are always using each other's names as well. And it depends how much you use Granola. The more you use it, the more context it has, and the better it is at all this kind of stuff. So Chris is our CEO, Dumbledore. Ross Hermione Granger. There again is we'll take it. We'll take it. Robert on my team, Harry Potter, definitely, yeah, reliable hero, definitely for sure. So yes, these are a bit fun, but yeah, you can do it for serious questions as well and like figure things out. Yeah.
One more question. Go for it. Yeah, go.
I see you have the feedback loop that you offer for the customer, like thumbs up, thumbs down, right?
Yeah.
How much do you see customers actually using that, and what kind of behavior do you usually see from that?
Yeah, it's not a huge amount. I don't think, like, we definitely monitor and we track it, and it's more of like, I think it's a good vibe check, I guess, to see how people are responding, especially when we have different models and we try different models out, and we're kind of always testing to see what works best at different times, and especially when there's new model releases. So it's definitely useful in that sense. Like, we'll track the model someone's using and the kind of numbers of positive and negative reactions like that as well. So yeah, something we definitely do. Oh, thumbs ups, mostly thumbs up. But like, it depends. Like, we're a startup, so we're scaling a lot as well. So then a lot of that comes down to like our LLM providers that you saw. There's like a different list of people there, so we have to like manage the traffic and things like that as well. So obviously, when when certain models are more popular than others, we have to manage capacity, and you're going to get a lot more thumbs downs for things like that. But generally, the answers and like the transcript data itself, since it's so grounded in like reality, there's no one in the transcripts, and your notes are kind of ground truth for meetings. So people are generally pretty happy with the results from the AI, I think.
Yeah, the reason I ask is usually when you get really pissed off, you're like, horrible, and then you do thumbs down. But when you're usually happy, you don't really give a lot of positive feedback. You're more like, okay.
No, yeah, for sure. That's yeah, I think that's normally the case. Yeah. Cool. We are done. All right, thanks, guys.
Cool. I mean, thank you, everyone. Namit, Ross, Matthijs, thank you so much. Thank you again for coming. I guess final plug is all of us are hiring. Could the folks at like Linea, Attio, Granola like raise your hand very quickly? Like, if you're looking for a job, you're curious to chat with the team, find these people, say hello, dig into what it's like working at these companies. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming, and hopefully you get to meet some cool people tonight.